The last alien at the auction. The auction hall was loud. Lights flashed in every color. Traders shouted numbers. Guards pushed cages forward, each one holding a creature, some angry, some scared, some almost broken. This was not a market. This was a place where aliens were sold like tools. At the very end of the line was a small cage. Inside it sat a girl. Her skin was pale blue, her eyes a soft silver that seemed to glow in the dark. She had long white hair and wore nothing but a thin cloth. Unlike the others, she didn't cry or scream, she just sat still, silent, waiting. "Next up," shouted the auctioneer. He was a thick man with a metal arm and a voice like a broken engine. "Last one for today. Don't let the quiet ones fool you. She's rare, one of the last from her kind. Strong mind, maybe even psychic. We call her Lot 47, but the crowd didn't cheer this time. People stepped back. Whispers moved like wind. "That's not just any alien," someone muttered. "I heard her kind went extinct. Bad luck to own one." "She gives me the chills." The auctioneer tried to smile. "Come on now, don't be shy. Start at 1,000 credits." No one raised a hand. 1,000. She's healthy, young, obedient, maybe. Silence. The alien girl slowly looked up. Her eyes met the crowd. One man gasped and stepped back. The auctioneer cursed. "Fine. 800, 600, 200, someone take her already." Still nothing. Then a quiet voice came from the back. "I'll take her." Heads turned. A man in a worn brown jacket stepped forward. His face was tired, his boots dusty. He looked like someone who had traveled far, too far. The auctioneer blinked. "You, sir, you sure?" "Yes, I'll pay full price," the man said. 1,000. The crowd laughed. One woman called out, "You just bought a curse, traveler." The man ignored them. He walked up to the cage. The girl inside watched him closely. "What's your name?" he asked softly. She didn't answer. "Doesn't matter," he said. "You're free now." The auctioneer laughed. "Free? She belongs to you now. No returns." The man opened the cage. The girl didn't move at first. Then slowly she stood. She was thin, but graceful. There were no chains on her, but it was clear she had been a prisoner for a long time. "Follow me," he said. She stepped out. Her feet touched the floor gently like she was testing it. Together they walked out of the auction hall. The crowd parted, silent, watching them go. Outside, the stars shone above the dirty streets. Small ships hovered in the air. Neon lights flickered. It was a city of noise and shadow. The man led her to a small ship parked in the corner of the lot. It was old but well cared for. He opened the door and let her in. Inside it was quiet. Safe. "You can sit anywhere," he said. "There's food if you're hungry." She sat near the window and looked out. Her eyes were full of thoughts, but she said nothing. He sat across from her. "My name's Reed." Still no answer. "That place back there, they treated you like an object. But I'm not like them. I didn't buy you to own you." Her head turned slightly. Curious. "I saw you," he said, "in a dream years ago. You were standing under a sky with 2 moons. You were singing, I don't know how, but I think you called me." That was the first time her eyes changed. They widened just a little. Not fear, surprise. Reed smiled. "Maybe I'm crazy, but I think you're not just any alien, you're special." Outside, the engines hummed. The ship rose into the sky. Back in the auction hall, the auctioneer scratched his head. One of the guards leaned in and whispered, "You know what she really is?" "No," the man said, "and I don't want to know." But far above the city, in the dark of space, a signal blinked red on an unknown screen. A voice crackled through static. "Target claimed. Activate watchers. She cannot be allowed to remember." Inside the ship, Reed looked at her one last time before falling asleep. She watched him quietly, then whispered her first word in days. "Why?" The human with a secret. The stars outside the ship were silent, but something in the air had changed. Reed sat in the pilot seat, eyes half closed. His ship, the Nomad Wind, moved slowly through open space, far from any known system. It was quiet, too quiet. Even the hum of the engines felt distant. She was watching him. Inari sat in the corner, her silver eyes glowing faintly in the dark. She had not eaten, she had not slept. It had been nearly a full day since the auction. Yet she showed no signs of weakness. Reed finally broke the silence. "You haven't said a word since." "Why?" She didn't respond. He sighed and stood up. "You're not afraid of me. That much I know. So what are you afraid of?" Still nothing. Reed walked to the back of the ship, to a small room filled with old boxes. He pulled out a dusty case and opened it. Inside was a metal disc, cracked and glowing with dull light. He turned to her. "I found this years ago in the ruins of an old station on Keleth 9. No one knew what it was. But the moment I touched it, I saw your face." She blinked. Reed stepped closer. "I saw you standing in a storm of fire. You weren't running. You were controlling it." She stood. "You're not a slave," he said. "You're something else. Something powerful." Inari's voice was quiet, but sharp like ice. "Then why did you buy me?" "Because I had to find out the truth." She walked slowly toward the disc. As soon as she got close, the disc glowed brighter. Reed stepped back. The air felt heavy. Then she placed her hand on it. In an instant, the ship's lights flickered. The floor vibrated. A rush of images flooded. Reed's mind, stars being torn apart, tall figures made of light, machines collapsing under invisible pressure. And at the center of it all, Reed fell to his knees, gasping. "What was that?" Inari turned her face away. "I don't remember all of it. But that disc is a piece of something I once guarded." "Guarded?" Reed stood slowly. "What were you guarding?" She whispered. "The door between worlds." He froze. He had heard stories, old ones, about a race that vanished overnight, about weapons so powerful they could erase time, about a gateway deep in space, locked by a being of energy and mind. "You were one of them," he said, barely believing it. "I am one of them," she corrected. "But I was wounded, captured, my memories locked, my powers caged, until now." Reed looked at her carefully. "So why show me this? Why now?" "Because something woke up," she said. "Something old, and it knows I'm alive." Suddenly, the ship's warning lights flashed red. A signal burst through the radio, a voice speaking in a strange, broken language. Inari's face went cold. "They found me." Reed rushed to the cockpit. "Who? Who's sending this?" She stepped beside him, placing her hand on the screen. The signal changed, turning into clear words. "Unit 47. Return to Sector Zeta, or be retrieved by force." Reed stared at her. "They called you Unit 47, the auction number. I had another name once, a real one, but they erased it." The voice returned. "3 ships inbound. Disable your vessel." Reed flipped a switch. "Like hell we will." Inari stopped him. "Wait." He looked at her. "I can stop them," she said. "But if I do, I won't be able to hide anymore." "You mean they'll know where you are?" "No," she said. "I mean everyone will." She walked to the ship's center and knelt down. "If I unlock what's inside me, it could burn this ship, maybe even you." Reed stood still. Then he reached out and touched her shoulder. "Do it." She looked up, surprised. "You trust me?" "I've seen what you are, but I've also seen how you looked at that little bird outside the ship yesterday. You smiled. A real smile. Monsters don't smile like that." Inari gave a slow, strange nod. "Then stay behind the door, no matter what happens." She stood, and her body began to glow, not just light, energy. The ship shook as if a storm was forming inside it. Reed backed away, shielding his face. Outside, 3 black ships came closer, long, sharp like blades in space. Inside the cockpit, Inari opened her eyes. Pure silver, she raised one hand. No weapons fired, no shots exchanged. But in one flash of light, the enemy ship stopped moving, frozen, dead in space. Then they turned, slowly, and flew away. Reed watched in shock. What did you do? I told them, she said, voice like wind. That I remember who I am. Reed stared at her. So, who are you? She turned, walked past him, and whispered one word. Inari. She is not what she seems. The ship drifted in silence now. No alarms, no warnings, just the stars outside, still and endless. Reed sat at the table staring at his hands. They were shaking. He had seen war. He had seen men explode in fire and ships ripped in half by pirate blasts. But nothing had prepared him for what he had witnessed just hours ago. 3 fully armed syndicate ships turned around without a fight. Not because of weapons. Not because of threats, because she told them to. Inari. She was no longer just an alien girl from a cage. She was something else. And now, she was in the engine room. Reed stood slowly, walked down the corridor of the ship, and opened the door to the lower deck. He expected chaos, damage, some sign of power loss. Instead, he found her sitting calmly on the floor, eyes closed, hands on her knees. Around her floated tiny pieces of metal, gears, screws, parts from the ship, spinning slowly in the air like planets around a sun. He didn't speak. He just watched. After a few seconds, she opened her eyes. You're scared, she said softly. Reed didn't answer right away. I don't even know what I'm feeling. I warned you. You said you could stop them, he replied. You didn't say you could control them. I didn't control them, she said. I made them remember fear. That word echoed in the room. Reed stepped closer. Inari. What are you? She stood. The floating parts fell to the floor. I was created. My people were not born like yours. We were made one by those who came before the stars had names. Each of us was given a purpose. What was yours? She looked away. To guide stars, to guard knowledge, and if needed, to destroy threats too large for armies. Reed felt cold. You were made as a weapon. No, she said, eyes glowing faintly. I was made as a warning. Silence. Reed walked to the control screen. I got a signal earlier, an old one, from the deep grid. She looked sharply at him. From who? I don't know. It didn't come from the syndicate. It came from someone else, someone watching. Inari's voice dropped. Then we need to leave. Now. Where? There's a planet, she said. It's not on any chart. My memories are still broken, but I know the way. If we go there, I can unlock the rest. Reed hesitated. And what happens when you're fully unlocked? Inari turned to him. Then you'll see what I really am. They jumped into hyperspace. The stars stretched, then twisted. Time bent. For hours, they floated through tunnels of light and noise. And finally, the ship dropped back into real space. Ahead of them, surrounded by 3 dying suns, was a planet. Completely black, no oceans, no lights, no cities, just a stone sphere floating in silence. This is it? Reed asked. This is the origin, Inari said. As they landed, the ship sensors failed. No signals, Reed said. No atmosphere. This planet is dead. No, she whispered. It's sleeping. They walked outside. The planet was cold and dry like glass. The wind didn't blow. Not a sound could be heard. Yet far ahead stood a structure, a black spire, tall and sharp, rising out of the ground like a blade. It pulsed. As they stepped closer, Reed began to feel strange. Time slowed. His heartbeat echoed in his ears. Inari placed her hand on the black stone. A soft light spread from her palm, running through the walls like blood through veins. The spire opened. Inside was a chamber, massive and ancient. Symbols covered the walls. Floating crystals hovered in the air, glowing faintly with energy that felt alive. Reed walked carefully. This place feels wrong. No, Inari said. It feels true. She stood at the center. The crystals responded, spinning, faster, brighter. Reed looked around. What is this place? It's my memory, she said, stored outside my body, hidden here so they could never break me. Then she screamed, not in pain but in power. The crystals flew into her chest, merging with her body. Her hair lifted, her eyes turned gold. Symbols appeared on her arms. Her face. Reed ran to her. Inari. She opened her mouth and a second voice, cold, ancient, deep, spoke through her. Protocol restored. Unit 7, Inari class weapon mind activated. Mission, unknown. She fell to her knees. Reed caught her. Inari, can you hear me? She looked up. I remember now. What? The war, the fall of my people, the thing we tried to stop. It's still alive. Reed went pale. What is it? She stared past him. It's coming. Behind them a ripple passed through the black air. A shadow moved. Tall, wide, not touching the ground. A thing made of nothing but hunger. Reed raised his gun. Don't, Inari whispered. You can't kill what was never alive. The shadow spoke, but not in words, in feelings. Cold, hate, time-breaking. It had found her, and now it would follow. Hunted by the syndicate space was never truly silent. Even in the darkness, something always watched. The ship shook violently as it escaped the dead planet. Reed gripped the controls tightly. Behind him, Inari sat slumped in the co-pilot seat. Her eyes were closed, her body still glowing faintly. She hadn't spoken since they left the Black Spire. She had changed, more than before. She was no longer just strange. She was terrifying. And yet, Reed couldn't leave her behind. He stared at her pale face and whispered, Stay with me, Inari. I don't care what you are. I need you awake. Suddenly, alarms screamed through the ship. Incoming vessels detected. Reed looked at the screen. 3 ships. No markings, but he recognized the shape. Thin, long, deadly. The Syndicate. They're here, he muttered. How the hell did they find us so fast? Inari stirred, her eyes slowly opening. They didn't find you. They've always been following me. Then how do we lose them? You don't. The lead syndicate ship hailed them. A cold voice filled the cockpit. Unit 7 Inari, we warned you. Now return or be taken. Reed answered, angry. She's not your property. She's not even alive, the voice replied. She's a failed weapon, a ghost of a dead race, and now she's unstable. You'll see that soon enough. Inari stood, her voice calm but sharp. You stole my mind. You locked my past in stone. You made me believe I was broken. You are broken, the voice said. And if you don't, come now, we will activate protocol chainfire. Reed looked at Inari. What's chainfire? She whispered. It's the final command, a trigger. If they send it, I become something even I can't control. Reed's face darkened. Then we don't give them that chance. He pulled hard on the controls. The ship spun, engines, roaring, diving into a nearby asteroid belt. Sharp rocks flew past them. A syndicate missile screamed by, just missing their tail. Inside the ship, sparks rained from the ceiling. Inari walked to the center of the floor and sat cross-legged. What are you doing? Reed shouted. She didn't answer. She began to hum. It was not a human sound. It was something older, like stars singing. The lights flickered again. The ship's damaged systems lit up one by one, self-repair beginning. Behind them, the syndicate. Ships gained speed. Suddenly one of them fired a small black device. It latched onto their hull and started glowing red. Reed looked at the scanner. They planted something. It's I don't know what it is. Inari opened her eyes. Chain fire has begun. A second voice came from her mouth. Metallic. Not her own. Unit activation. Final sequence. Memory lock broken. Morality protocols failing. Control. Slipping. Reed rushed to her. No. Fight it. You're not theirs. You're not a weapon anymore. Her body lifted into the air. Her skin shimmered with gold light. The floor under her cracked. The ship groaned. Outside, the lead syndicate ship locked onto them. Target locked. Prepare to detonate. But before they could fire, Inari opened her eyes fully. They were not silver, not gold, but pure white. Blinding. She whispered a word in a language older than time. The stars around them bent. The asteroid belt exploded outward. The syndicate ships began to melt, not with fire but with memory. They forgot how to exist. They forgot what they were. And then, they were gone. Reed collapsed to the floor as gravity failed for a moment. The ship stopped shaking. Silence returned. Inari dropped to her knees. Smoke filled the air. Systems on the ship sparked again. Life support was weakening. They had won, but barely. Reed crawled to her side. You okay? She looked at him, breathing, hard. Her voice returned to normal. I almost couldn't stop it. There's something in me and buried deep. It doesn't think. It only erases. Reed helped her sit up. Then let's keep that part buried. I don't know if I can. He looked at her carefully. You're not broken, Inari. You're unfinished. She blinked. What does that mean? It means you were made for war, but you survived war. Now maybe you can decide what to be. She touched his hand. I don't understand humans. You risk everything, for me. Even now. He smiled. Yeah, we do that sometimes. Suddenly a new signal beeped on the dashboard. But this time it wasn't Syndicate. It was older, fainter, from deep space, and it used her language. She stood up slowly. That's not the Syndicate. Then what is it? She turned to him. Serious. It's one of my kind. Reed blinked. Wait. You said they were all gone. So did I. The message played again. A single word echoed through the ship. Run. Inari stared into space. If they're telling us to run, something worse is coming. The forgotten planet. The ship drifted silently through an uncharted region of space. There were no stars here. Only cold. Only darkness. Inari stood in front of the glowing map screen, her hand gently hovering over the signal they had just received. The words still echoed in her mind. Run. Not a command. A warning. Reed sat beside her, arms crossed. You sure this is a message from your people? No one else speaks this way, she whispered. It's not just sound. It's memory, feelings, echoes of minds that used to be like mine. But I thought they were all gone. They are, she said. That's why this doesn't make sense. Reed leaned forward. Then we follow the signal. Inari nodded. Her eyes glowed faintly, guiding the ship toward the unknown. After 3 jumps and an energy blackout, they arrived. The planet didn't look like much. It hung alone near a collapsed star. No moons, no rings, covered in ash and stone. No sunlight touched its surface, just the red glow of dying energy. But when they entered the atmosphere, the ship's sensors went wild. Life detected, power signature, unknown. Danger level, unreadable. Reed frowned. This place is supposed to be dead. It is, Inari said quietly. But something survived. They landed near a vast crater. At its center stood a huge doorway built into the ground. Black stone, marked with glowing runes, same, symbols that had once floated around Inari when she awakened. Reed stepped out first. The ground crunched beneath his boots like glass. It's like this place was frozen in time, he whispered. No, Inari said. It was locked, like a prison. They moved slowly toward the doorway. As they reached it, it opened without a sound, dust rising into the air, undisturbed for what felt like a million years. Inside was a staircase, endless, winding down into the core of the world. No wind, no sound, just a pull. A memory calling them in. The deeper they went, the stranger things became. The walls pulsed softly with ancient energy. Ghost images flickered. Visions of tall, glowing beings, floating cities, golden towers that touched the sky. Inari paused. She touched a wall. Her fingers trembled. "This was home," she whispered. "Not the one I was captured on. The one I was born from." Reed looked around. "You mean this planet?" "No. This was the last place my kind hid. After the fall." Reed stepped back. "You keep talking about this fall. What was it? A war?" She looked at him with pain in her eyes. "No, it wasn't war. It was a mistake." They reached a chamber at the bottom, huge, silent. In the center floated a glowing sphere, cracked, flickering. It was a memory core, alive, just barely. Inari approached it. "This will show us everything." She placed both hands on the sphere. Instantly, her body lit up, and the chamber around them exploded with holograms. Images filled the space, millions of them. Her people, their ships, their cities, their technology. A civilization far beyond human understanding, and then, darkness, a tear. In space, something that came from outside the known universe, a shape with no form. A hunger with no end, and the message from her people. "We opened a door we should not have touched." Reed stood still, eyes wide. "That's what destroyed you?" She nodded. "We called it the deep silence, a being with no voice, no body, only thought, only decay. And now it's coming for you?" "No, it never stopped following me. I was the only one who survived." Reed looked at the sphere. One last message glowed, a final recording in her voice, but younger. "If I'm hearing this, it means I've forgotten who I am. If I'm here, it means the silence is near. Don't awaken it. Don't let it feel you. Run. Run and find the human." Reed stepped back. "You left this for yourself?" "I planned for failure," Inari whispered. "I was the only one strong enough to survive deletion, but not strong enough to win." She turned to Reed, fear in her eyes for the first time. "I brought it here." Suddenly the ground shook, the chamber lights flickered, the walls cracked, and a sound began to grow. Not noise, not words. Emptiness. Reed grabbed her hand. "We need to go, now." They ran through the collapsing halls. Stone fell around them. Ghosts of her past watched from the walls, their eyes hollow. Back on the ship, they blasted off just as the ground opened beneath them, but the damage was done. Whatever had been asleep was now awake. As they fled the planet, Inari stared into the stars. "I made a choice long ago," she said, quietly, "to save my mind by splitting it. Part in this body, part in that planet. I thought I could hold it back." Reed nodded. "But now it's free." "No," she said. Her voice trembled. "It was never locked. It was just waiting for me to remember." The weapon within. The stars outside were flickering, disappearing one by one. Reed stood in the cockpit watching the strange readings appear across the ship's console. Every direction they turned, the sensors screamed the same thing. Unknown presence detected. Reality distortion increasing. Retreat impossible. It wasn't space anymore. It was something else. Inari sat silently at the center of the ship, in the place where the energy core used to be. Since they left the forgotten planet, she had barely moved. Her body glowed faintly, her skin marked with shifting symbols that never stayed still. Reed had seen soldiers lose their minds in war. He had seen machines go rogue. He had never seen both in the same body. He stepped toward her. "Inari," he said softly. "Talk to me." She didn't look up. I need to know you're still in there. Nothing. Then, her voice came, but layered, like more than one person speaking. I feel everything. Every memory, every failure, every planet we couldn't save. I remember their screams, Reed, and worse, I remember how calm I felt when I destroyed the ones responsible. Her head tilted up. I'm not just remembering. I'm changing. The ship trembled. Reed looked at the window. The stars were now blinking like eyes watching them. I think it's inside you, he said carefully. The silence. It never wanted to kill you. It wanted to become you. She nodded. It knows. I'm the last. If it merges with me, it becomes the voice of a race once called gods. She stood. Her feet didn't touch the floor. Her body hovered now, her voice deeper. I can feel the final code, buried inside my mind like a locked door. If I open it, I can erase it. But, Reed asked. She looked at him. If I open that code, I erase myself too. Silence filled the ship. Reed stepped forward. There has to be another way. There's not, she said. This was always the ending I was made for, to be the weapon that kills the thing no one else could. But I didn't find you to lose you, Reed said, louder now. You're not just a weapon. Her eyes shimmered. You really believe that? Yes, he said. Because if I saw what you saw, if I felt that power, I don't think I could stay human. But you did. She turned away. I won't hold out much longer. It's already speaking through me. Then the ship's console cracked. From the speakers came a voice, but not like before. It used her voice. Hello, Reed. He froze. It continued. She is breaking. And when she falls, I will not erase you. I will let you watch. Forever. Inari screamed, grabbing her head. Energy pulsed through the room. Walls bent. Lights shattered. She dropped to the floor, breathing hard. Reed rushed to her, held her. I'm here. I'm not leaving. Tears ran from her glowing eyes. I don't want to be this. I don't want to kill everything I touch. He held her tighter. Then don't. Choose something else. She looked into his eyes. There's only one choice. No, he said. He stood, walked to the back of the ship, and opened a panel. Inside was a glowing shard, the memory key from the Black Spire. The one she had merged with. He placed it in front of her. What are you doing? She asked. You split your memory to survive, he said. So split your power too. Give me part of it. Anchor yourself to me. She stared at him. That's dangerous. I'm already in this with you. She placed her hand over the shard. Beam of light struck Reed's chest. His body lifted from the floor. Pain hit him. Memories. Light. Code. He felt galaxies pass through his mind. Then it stopped, and something had changed. He could feel her. A connection like a thread made of fire. Her voice came through his thoughts. I can't do this alone anymore. You're not alone. Outside, the stars stopped blinking. The silence spoke one last time. You made her weak. Reed smiled. No. I made her human. The ship engines roared. A new signal appeared. A hidden path. A gateway long lost. Inari looked up. Hope in her. Voice for the first time. There's still a chance. But where does it go? Reed asked. She smiled faintly. To the heart of the silence. And she whispered one last word. Let's finish this. One choice, one future. The gateway was not made of metal or light. It was made of thought. It spun quietly in deep space, a spiral of memory and gravity, invisible to the naked eye but alive in the mind of anyone who looked too closely. As the year, nomad wind approached. Time began to slow. Reed stood beside Inari in the cockpit. His fingers trembled. Not from fear, but from the energy now inside him. A part of her lived in him now. He felt it whenever he breathed. The connection had changed. Him, not just physically. He could sense things. Feel the pressure of time, the pull of forgotten stars. the soundless screams of lost civilizations. He looked at her. She was glowing brighter now, not just energy, but peace. A strange calm had come over her. "Inari," he asked. "Are you ready?" She turned to him. "No," she said. "But I have to be." They entered the gateway. The universe vanished. No space, no time, only feeling. They weren't flying anymore. They were falling. Through moments, through echoes. Past galaxies unborn. Past civilizations that never existed. Past versions of themselves that had never met. Then, a world appeared. Not a planet. Not a structure. Just a space. A place of white and gray, stretching endlessly. No sky. No ground. But in the center, a figure. Tall, shifting, made of thousands of voices, of shadows, of dying stars. The silence. It did not speak with sound. It spoke directly into their minds. "You bring me what I have waited for. You bring me yourself." Inari stepped forward. "You destroyed my people." "No," it said. "They destroyed themselves. I offered them what I offer you now. Peace, unity, no pain, no thought, no war, only silence." Reed stepped beside her. "Sounds like death." "No," it replied. "Sounds like truth. She is not made to survive. She was made to decide." Inari looked down at her hands. Her power was pulsing, barely contained. "I know what I am," she said. "A weapon. A tool," it corrected. "Meant to choose when no one else could." It raised one arm. Suddenly, visions filled the air around them. The future, fractured. In one, Inari allowed the silence in. It consumed her gently. Her body faded, and all across the galaxy wars stopped. Civilizations forgot how to fight. Peace came, but so did emptiness. No laughter, no growth, no love, just stillness. In another, she fought. She released her full power. The silence shattered. But so did parts of the universe. Stars went supernova, worlds collapsed, billions died, the price of resistance. And in one final vision, she turned to Reed, gave him the core, gave him the power, and walked away. That future was unreadable. A blank. Even the silence could not see it. "You see," it whispered. "You were never the end. You were the question. Now make the choice." Inari looked at Reed, tears in her eyes. "I was born to choose," she said softly. "But now I understand something they never taught me." "What?" he asked. She touched his face. "I don't have to choose alone." She reached into her chest, pulled the energy out, the raw core of what made her what she was, and held it out. To him. "You carry my memories now," she said. "My pain, my hope, my light. You're not just human anymore. You're us." Reed looked at the energy. It floated above his hands like a second sun. "I'm not ready," he whispered. "Neither was I." She smiled. He stepped forward, faced the silence, held out the light, and spoke. "Not your peace, not your death, and not her sacrifice." He crushed the core into his chest. Power exploded outward, not in fire, but in memory. He remembered everything. Every life Inari's people had lived, every choice they made, every mistake, and every moment they loved. He walked into the silence and gave it something it had never known. Meaning. The light faded. When Inari opened her eyes, she was standing on a hill. Grass, sky, warm air. Not fake. Not a dream. A real place. She turned. Reed was standing at the edge of the hill looking at the sky. He turned and smiled. "You came back." She ran to him. "Where are we?" she asked. "I don't know," he said. "But I think we made something new." "What happened to the silence?" I didn't destroy it, he said. I showed it life, real life. It didn't know what to do with that. So it let go. She took his hand. They stood in silence. But this time, it was a beautiful, kind of quiet, not the end, a beginning.